Hello, lovely people. Let's talk about my underwear. Oh, it's fine. We've survived 2020 together. Bonded. We can talk about these things. And don't worry, this video is going to be very academic. We're going to learn about vintage lingerie together. And perhaps, maybe, just maybe, by the end of making this video, I will have drummed into my dyslexic brain how to actually spell lingerie. But probably not, because I still have to recite, does Oliver eat sweets every time I need to spell does? Or I take the bus into business whenever that comes up. Now, I've been dressing in a vintage style for my entire adult life. Although I'm not hugely strict about it and I like to mix up my time periods, I also just kind of go with whatever I think is prettiest for my hair that day. I'm not really a purist and I don't claim to be. I'm not wearing a costume or performing in a play. I'm just living my life and I happen to have a very traditional sense of style. There is one thing I have always wanted, and that is a gorgeous vintage silhouette. You know the type. The type that normally one only sees in illustrated adverts from the 1950s. They're illustrated, Jessica. Why would you think that's achievable? I don't. But there is just something to be said for vintage style underwear. That unless one has the proper foundations, those lovely vintage dresses, they just aren't going to sit in the same way. Which is also completely fine. You do you. I'm not here to tell you how to dress. Of course, I could use the excuse that I have a double scoliosis, so it's really difficult for me to find underwear that fits me in any way at all. So going out of my way to then find vintage style underwear is just adding an extra layer of drama to my online shopping. But it's a pandemic. I suddenly have a lot of time for online shopping. So I've pulled together a number of different looks and I'm going to spend my week trying them all and potentially making myself horrendously uncomfortable for your viewing pleasure. You're welcome. Along the way, I'm also going to give you a mini history lesson about underwear because I enjoy over-delivering on my assignments. I should add that some of these items were kindly gifted to me by their designers. Thank you so much. And you'll find links to their wonderful small shops in the description. Yay! Support small businesses. There is one horrendous garment that will not be linked in the description because honestly, I don't want any of you to go through the pain I went through whilst wearing it. No, I should probably take that back, or else I'll just get lots of comments asking me for it. Because everyone always asks for links to the things I'm wearing, even when I do actually put them in the description and say they're in the description. They're generally in the description, guys, I promise. I should add that there will be a lot of bullet bras and uses of the words breast and chest and bosoms. So if you saw an advert at the start of this video, I am honestly shocked. And thank goodness to Skillshare for sponsoring me today. This is a weirdly intimate video, I guess, but also not. I mean, I've already made a video about putting my bendy body into a corset. You've seen me in underwear. My knickers are already larger than most people's idea of shorts. So we're good. Post-World War II. Yes, somehow all history lessons have to come back to World War II. The ideal look for women changed, largely as a reaction to the horrors of war and rationing. There was an emphasis on family and creating the perfect little happy heteronormative nuclear unit. To this end, there was an accentuation of femininity, and the supposedly ultra-womanly hourglass figure was in with the nipped-in waists and full hips emphasised by either full petticoats or fitted pencil skirts. There was therefore a need to enhance the bust to balance out the hips, and bust padding became very popular. Although we tend to think of bust padding as a relatively new invention, it was actually used in the Edwardian and late Victorian era, along with even earlier, as fans of Karolina Zabrska and Bernadette Banner's YouTube channels will no doubt know. Lingerie sales increased in the period as women lifted, shaped and nipped themselves in to create glamorous silhouettes to mimic Hollywood's golden age stars. The many styles of lingerie included bras, panties, slips, petticoats, girdles, stockings and garters. Nylon fabric also became more available, which allowed lingerie to be not only more affordable but more colourful as well. Tap pants, my personal favourite form of knicker, were replaced by nylon panties with elastic at the waist and leg. Don't worry, they were still very high-waisted and full coverage. Ruffled versions were available to wear under full skirts and dresses. The first bullet bra came into production in 1949 by Maidenform, and it was made popular by Hollywood starlets such as Marilyn Monroe and Lana Turner, who wore them under sweaters, coining the term sweater girls. These bullet bras ranged from more subtle looks to very exaggerated. I mentioned that my vintage style isn't 100% authentic, and one thing that I really struggle with is living in England and having an allergy to wool, because it's surprisingly difficult to find really warm vintage style things that are not made of wool. I'd like to take a moment to eulogise about this cardigan. I bought it in Malaysia in 2018, and yes, for those who don't know, Malaysia is indeed very hot until you walk into somewhere with air conditioning and suddenly wish you'd bought your snowsuit. Or go up a mountain actually, like in the Cameron Highlands, where they have mock Tudor houses and grow English garden flowers and serve afternoon cream teas. Anyway, this cardigan has been my dearest love for 3 years now, and my absolute favourite piece of clothing. It looks like this vintage granny cardigan. It's thick, it's warm, it's cream, it has embroidery, and it's not made from wool. I couldn't love it any more if I tried, but it's not surviving very well, and it keeps picking up these like mystery stains. I don't know how it comes out of the wash dirtier than when it went in. If you happen to know of a similar thick granny cardigan currently for sale in a UK size 8 that's, quite like this one, then please do let me know. Additional bonus for sparkly beads or pearls. Yeah, clearly knitwear is one area of my wardrobe that can't be truly authentic, but I'm hoping that with the aid of old-fashioned underwear, it might be more passable. Indeed, bullet bras and that specific silhouette helps to really sell vintage style a lot more so. Pointy boobs, here we come! Finding the perfect underwear is hard. Golly, just finding the perfect t-shirt is hard. But you know what would make it easier? Sewing your own to your own exact measurements. Unlike generations past, it isn't that common for us to have the skills required to make gorgeous pieces of clothing, or even really simple things like darning socks. Can't lie, I did actually have to just Google what darn means, despite having used the word quite a lot. It's when you mend a hole in knitted material by interweaving yarn with a needle. That's why platforms like Skillshare are so great. We all learn in different ways, and since you're here watching this on YouTube, I'm assuming that video content is something that speaks to you. Well, Skillshare is an online learning community that helps creators, creatives, and those who just want to pick up or refresh their skills through instructional videos. Their classes cover a range of topics from business to fine art, and your interest level can vary from just a light excitement to a burgeoning hobby to wanting to start an entire new career. If you're interested in creating your own clothes but don't know where to start, then I recommend you try the Make Your Own Clothing course by Joshua McKinley, which in just 16 lessons teaches you the core sewing skills needed to create any garment that's long-lasting with a professional look. They also have closed captions on all of their Skillshare originals and staff picks videos. As a member, you also have the opportunity to give and receive feedback on projects through the creators community, which can be a huge help to anybody learning a new skill or improving on an old one. Whether you want to fuel your curiosity, creativity, or even career, join the 7 million plus people currently using the site to further improve their skills. Premium membership comes the benefit of unlimited access to all courses on their website, meaning you can find the course and community that works best for you. First 1,000 people to use the link in the description box will get a free trial of Skillshare Premium membership, and after that, only around $10 a month. I thought I'd start my week with a relatively classic and simple lingerie look. That's a lie. I wanted to start the week with this rather ridiculous retro-futuristic bullet bra from Betty Page, which claims to make my breasts look like bee stings. But unfortunately, I came across the common issue of the larger-breasted lady, sizing not based on cups. I have a really small and slightly misshapen chest, so getting the band size to fit unfortunately meant that my cups were, they did runneth over. And to get the right cup size would mean getting a band that was ridiculously large for my frame, so no. Unfortunately, we are going to have to be sensible with this one, as amusing as this does look. Instead, I'm wearing the Harlow bullet bra from What Katie Did, which is cut to the same pattern as the other bullet bras that they are very famous for, but in a delightful peach satin with power mesh and soft cup spiral stitch. My favourite everyday bras are all from Malaysia. They have no underwire, a very long strap at the back and the side, are made from the strongest foam ever known to man, I swear. I have no idea how this thing holds me up so well, but it really does. Like most modern bras though, it pushes your breasts inwards and upwards, while the Harlow bullet bra kind of gently coaxes your breasts into the perfect 1950s conical shape. according to the website and my experience. Many bra construction innovations actually date back to the 1930s, but didn't really take off until the 1950s. In 1935, cup fittings of A, B, C, and D were introduced for the first time as manufacturers realised that the measure of the bust and the size of the breasts involved two different measurements. Wow! Other innovations like the strapless bra, the wireless bra, and the padded bra were also invented in the 1930s, but put on hold really until the 1950s because, you know, war comes before perfecting the mass manufacture of the strapless bra, funnily enough. It did feel a bit odd to be wearing at first, honestly, but I soon got used to it, and my breasts were actually pretty happy all day. I did feel pretty supported, and I was getting the lift I wanted, although I do have a complaint about the back strap. And this complaint could very much be my own issue, but possibly just because it's so much thinner than what I'm used to, and I haven't worn it non-stop for 2 years, but I really felt like it was kind of digging in on my sides. I did really like the look of my clothes with this bra on. I tried a cotton top on and it looked pretty vintagey with this bra. I couldn't quite wrap my head around whether this looks more natural or less, but honestly, what even is a natural breast shape? Is there such a thing? We're all so different. 1950s bras were either made of cotton, nylon, or rayon and ranged from about 98 cents to $2.50, depending on the fabric and the design. So certainly, the modern reproduction ones are more expensive, but considering how vital they are and how often you wear them, they're actually quite cost effective. And, you know, inflation. To accentuate the glamour, 1950s bras could have taffeta trim, floral prints, lace, elaborate stitching, or even accent bows. But I'm pretty pleased with how smooth the lines of this bra are, as it means that I could wear it under quite a few things. I also wore the matching Harlow knickers all day, which are lovely and are now firmly in my everyday knicker rotation. They're basically the premier vintage-inspired high-waist knicker. As I hold this up, I suddenly realise how large it is compared to my face. So this satin panel that you can see at the front is in a diamond shape, so it's smaller at the top, meaning that the power mesh is doing most of the work, and it's able therefore to grow and shrink as you move around, eating a big lunch or something. As someone with a really long torso, I also appreciated how long these knickers were, because the waistband is pretty much at my actual waist, whilst most knickers that say they're high-waisted have a band that's a good 2 inches below my actual waist. See here, dresses with a waist panel that is actually over my breasts. But there was one huge problem. The toilet. How I like that. So the garter and the knickers and the mesh is the same. Basically, the garter belt is essentially a girdlet, meaning that it's a cross between a girdle and a suspender belt, which is great for giving an invisible line under the tightest of clothing, and it has roll-on style, which means no fiddly hooks and eyes to fasten, and it really enhances your curves, and it looks lovely whilst on, but I couldn't quite work out the mechanics of 2 layers of tight power mesh and trying to get to the underneath layer. But individually, all of these items were wonderful. As great as the bra is, I think it's going to take me some time to get used to the thinner strap at the back, but it's actually quite hard for me to find long-line bras that fit my body, as many literally don't even do up due to my curved spine. In the 1950s, the most popular long-line bras were strapless, with uplifting cups and bone support down to the middle waist to slim, control, and uplift. Often were made to have a low back cutout, making it possible to wear strapless gowns or halter-top dresses, and I honestly shed tears as a teenager about not being able to find the perfect thing to fit my bendy body. This is the body I have, and crying doesn't change anything or make you feel better, even though it feels like it does in the short term. At the grand stage of, it's my 32nd birthday on Monday, thanks for your birthday wishes, I've just learnt that strapless bras aren't ever going to be a thing for me, and that's okay. On Tuesday, I took it back to the 1940s with another look from what Katie did, and this one has a really interesting history. During the Second World War, there was severe rationing in Britain, and from June 1941 this included clothes, although corsetry had actually been restricted even earlier. To ensure good quality basics were available to everyone, the government came up with various different design restrictions, with the resulting items carrying the CC41 label. For women's clothing, this included restricting the amount of buttons on dresses and the length of skirts. For lingerie, the use of lace, trims, and even elastic was minimal. Many British women were working in factories or as part of the land army, providing food for the nation and doing men's work whilst they were away fighting. These roles were new for many women, and good, supportive corsetry was more important than ever. I wear my corset to help with my back pain from having a double scoliosis, and it doesn't hurt that it also makes my dresses look great. So I thought I should probably pop it on for the day. Not true, I woke up in pain and switched the planned outfits around so I could wear my corset. Just run with it. Fun fact, the women's appeals for better, more supportive undergarments eventually reached the ears of the government early in 1944. Through a recently established body, the Corset Guild of Great Britain, the Guild presented a petition to the government that in March 1944 resulted in corsetry being classified under essential work order, meaning it needed to continue despite the war. Restrictions on clothing continued until March 1949. In the UK, and even after that, some rationing continued. Although the underwear that was available was purely practical, I think this set, inspired by English CC41 designs, is really cute. The whole CC09 lingerie line, bra, French knickers, suspender belt are adapted from original pieces. You can tell that this bra is different from yesterday's because it separates your chest towards the sides and is quite a practical hold them in type. Honestly, that's actually very comfortable. It's made from really soft satin, lightly padded with a 3mm foam at the bottom of the cup, which feels delightful if you are used to the more modern, slightly padded bras. I'm gonna say that it made my chest slightly conical, but also much more rounded. I mean, it doesn't scream, "I'm wearing a vintage bra," as you walk down the street. I don't think I've walked down the street in at least 6 months. Please someone shoot me up with a vaccine soon. And don't bother commenting with vaccine skepticism. My only hope for leaving the house and resuming some kind of a normal life is if enough people get vaccinated. So don't even try me. This bra is much more wearable than a real 1940s one would have been, thanks to the addition of elastic. The straps would originally have been non-stretch. It also has a power mesh band and this lovely foam. So you get the look, but with actual support. We also have here some lovely big 1940s panties. They're big, they're flowing, they have absolutely no elastic, which is a nightmare when you need to go to the toilet in a hurry or have peripheral neuropathy and tiny buttons are your nemesis. Can't relate. Could never be me. But they're a dream to wear the rest of the time. They're perfect for wearing under structured skirts or petticoats, but they can get a little bunchy if you're a fan of tight capri pants or the like. I mean, although I personally love big silky knickers like this, and they really aren't that practical. And I can see why 1950s underwear did move more towards one might now call a granny panties, or what Marks and Spencer's now kindly refers to as a full brief. And honestly, are they even vintage knickers if they're not covering your belly button? Again, very flattering, not great when you need to go to the loo. Highly recommend these alternatives with stretch bands that I found on Amazon for a steal. The day I decided to try the sweater girl look, but went for a really loose baggy sweater. Yeah, let's fix that. I'll be honest, I am still living in a building site and my access to my clothes is a little restricted. So even though it's January, please enjoy this pretty wintry sweater. Apparently they'll be finished by the end of January, but that's, really soon, and there are still gaping holes in the walls, so we shall see. This is a video about bras, not building work, Jessica. So, on Wednesday, I decided to try a bullet bra from the Betty Page collection from Playful Promises. They also sent the matching high-waist brief and a satin girdle / suspender belt, which In the 1950s, most corsets and girdles came with attached straps to hold up your stockings. For those who didn't use any shapewear, a garter belt held them up instead. Some are thin and light, others were wide and used elastic to provide some shaping support. This suspender belt from Betty Page is really more of a pull-on girdle with a silky satin panel in the centre, accompanied by sheer mesh around. It has a really cute black bow on the waistband and 4 suspender straps, which are the itchiest things known to God. Don't ask me why they itch so much. They just do. In the end, I had to take a pair of scissors to them. Ugh! No. The matching bullet bra came with pointy inserts, which was fun, but I didn't actually have space for them. So, in the 1950s, for those needing a little extra boost to the bust, a lining of latex foam was whirlpool stitched into the centre of the cup to create the equalizer with its cunningly concealed contours for that oh-so-feminine American look. All sorts of bust improvers were advertised and displayed in shop windows, including pneumatic busts that you could inflate at will like a balloon. Just what a girl needs. I have to say, I did feel a little creaky in this lingerie. Probably because it's new, but I couldn't quite get over the feeling that every time I move, my underwear protested. It does have bows on though, and I really like bows. No, really, many bows. All of the bows. Bows. Moving away from my love of bows and back to corsets. The process of easing women out of wartime restrictions was given a striking incentive by the introduction of Christian Dior's new look in Paris in the spring of 1947 in his first collection of his newly established couture house. Despite cloth still being rationed, Dior put meters of it in full flowing skirts extending down to 12 inches from the ground and replacing the shorter, more basic tubular styles that had been popular and advised by the government. He introduced a short jacket with rounded shoulders and a nipped-in waist, and the look soon took off, despite the loud disapproval of the British authorities. Nylon taffeta and nylon marquise were used in corsetry by 1947 and was an important step towards the glamorization of foundation wear and the creation of lightweight garments that were capable of providing a great degree of control whilst being very wearable. Steel boning used in the past was gradually replaced with plastic or metal spiral. That's what's used in my corset, and for girdles, zippers took over from hooks and eyes in the back, making them much easier to get into by oneself. A full corset covered the entire torso, including bra cups, and had straps to hold up one's stockings. Fun fact, the corselet was a more modern but still heavily boned version of the corset, with an attached bra and padded cups to the hip to accentuate a tiny waist. The strapless corselet was called the Merry Widow in the USA after a film of the same name. We call them Basques in the UK. Due to being strapless, it needed to be incredibly well boned to prevent it from rolling down. And Lana Turner, star of the film, is reported to have said in 1989, "I'm telling you, the Merry Widow was designed by a man. A woman would never do that to another woman." But not my corset. Oh no, this baby is a delight to wear. It's a long line corset shape with the fan-laced underbust corset pattern, and it is made to fit my double scoliosis, so it has a head start over other corsets. I wear it over a variety of different slips, both for hygiene purposes and because, ouch, why would you wear a corset on your bare skin? I have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, so my skin just marks like you wouldn't believe. Even the gentlest bra will leave enough purple lines on my body to freak my wife out. You would think that silk would be the best thing, but I've actually found that still crumples and marks. The best thing just seems to be stretch fabrics that are really breathable, kind of think athleisure wear. If you saw my video about my lovely corset, link in the card above, then you will recognize my favorite underwear. This bra is the Kiss Me Deadly Van Doren bra in ivory satin and power net, but custom made for me so it fits my really small back. It's a bullet bra kind of inspired soft cup style that is so wearable. Basically, the uplift comes from vertical seams and the thick underbust band, and it's also just really cute. Big band at the back too, so A++, highly recommend. And it has a matching tap pant, otherwise known as a French knicker, which you can theoretically wear over or under a girdle or a garter or a corset, but I like to wear it underneath because I have a lot of petticoat on top. Okay, fine. Thursday wasn't exactly a difficult day for me, but I was gearing up for what I knew was going to be hard. Friday, the full body girdle sent help. Girdles Girdles were still a required undergarment for most dresses in the 1950s and were preferred over corsets by most women. The miniskirt shaped girdle only came down to the mid-thigh, so that women could still walk and sit freely. How kind. But by the mid-1950s, the sarong style dominated the market. You know, being able to move your legs and whatnot. Girdles almost always had garter snaps, 2 in the front and 2 in the back. They were made of light knit nylon and cotton covered latex and had zippers for an easy on and off, but mine does not. That is foolish. One of my favourite pieces of vintage style underwear that I haven't mentioned up to this point is the Rego long line bra. It is really hard to come by, but really worth it. It's a delight. No underwiring, but lots of support to smooth down your torso. The cups are slightly bullet shaped. It's a really great vintage option, provided your dress completely covers the bra, which they largely don't all do. However, their longline bra only starts at a 34 band size and I'm a 28, but it's meant to be shapewear, so it is made pretty snug. I can wear the bra for a bit and it's fine, but eventually after a year or so of washes, it just becomes too baggy. So in preparation for this video, I thought, ooh, I'll get one of their full body shapers because it's like a girdle and I'll get it in the same size as I would buy their bra, a 34C. Oh my God. It was a trial to get this thing onto my body and a trial to spend a day in it. Slim fitting sheath dresses and wiggle dresses are probably the best way to show you this piece on my body, but I don't really own any. I have quite a clingy green dress, but yeah. I had to wear my only other non-big skirted dress, which is a gown that I wore to Clara's wedding. I'm working from home, why not wear a sparkly ball gown? Again, let me state, girdles generally had zippers for an easy on and off. There is a reason for that. It's not the heaviest piece of clothing, I will give it that. It is certainly better in that regard than what most women were dealing with in the 1950s, but Lord alive, I was also boiling. Supposedly, in the past, in extreme summer weather, women simply went without a girdle and wore less confining dresses such as the blouson, empire waist shift, or the chemise. And honestly, I can now see why they did just eventually do away with them altogether. I tried to follow the guidelines for getting into a step-in girdle, so you fold it over 2 to 3 times to the waistline and ease into it, finishing off with a rolling out the fold to meet your waistline, but my skin still chafes just from putting the damn thing on. Absolutely do not recommend. Wholeheartedly do not recommend. But you know what I do recommend? Skillshare. Thank you so much for watching the video. Which look was your favourite? Which look would you try? Which lingerie do you think was a really, really terrible idea? Have you ever tried a bullet bra before? Let me know in the comments down below and I'll see you in my next video.